and welcome back to episode 4 of the Pondwater Dave Show. My name is Justin Davis, your host here again this week with us as always. The man this show is named after, the man who counted Ric Flair's last match, Mr. Pondwater Dave. Apparently he's Superman also, if you're watching on the video. And he's a macho man, I know that.
Able to leap tall women in a single bound. But that faster than a speeding bullet is complete rumor and innuendo. How y'all doing?
I'm good. What's been going on down there in Mississippi?
Just working. Continuing having the best year ever. Got to spend an hour with Mr. Apter again this week, and we talked about Captain Lou Albano and Freddie Blassie. So, I mean, when
classic managers back
in the tape that I had to listen to get to Lou Albano, Bill Apter had interviewed Ken Norton after he'd beaten Muhammad Ali prior to Ali Frazier, getting his thoughts on Ali Frazier. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is awesome. And then immediately after the Captain Lou segment, there's Wahoo McDaniel. And this is from the 70s. This is Wahoo and the AWA and talking about Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes was a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, just the stuff I'm getting to listen to, just to talk about the topic is,
yeah.
I'm in mark out heaven.
It's got to be a lot of fun doing that. I'm looking forward to listening to episode 2 of the Aftermag Chats, which will be on ad-free shows on Monday of this
a week from when y'all hear this.
Yeah, no, it'll be when this comes out, correct?
No, this could.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's dropping this Monday. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about recording the next episode.
It'll be today. As you're listening to this, you will be able to hear the Aftermag Chats with Bill Apter, of course, and Pondwater. They talk about 2 of the old 70s and 80s classic WWE managers, Captain Lou Albano and classy Freddie Blassie, of course. And speaking of classy, Miss Amy Vaughn, the first lady of the Arn Anderson fan club. Of course, I know you've been working hard on the Twitter gimmick, promoting Arn Anderson's his graphic novel coming out right now, right?
Definitely. Well, I think everybody needs to be involved in it. I mean, why would you not want the graphic novel of Arn Anderson, right? And, if you haven't had a chance, you can go over to arncomic.com, get on the Kickstarter, look at all the different items that they have available to you. You can go holographic poster, you can go the book. If you weren't able to get in on Tony Schiavone's book, they're doing a 2-for-1 deal. The one thing, and my husband really had to kind of take the credit card away, because there is one where you get all this great stuff, plus you get a phone call from Arn, and there's only 5 slots. And I think Sean was worried I'd get all 5. So
Sean's a smart man.
Yes, he is. And if I did that, I definitely would I would stretch that phone call out probably a lot longer than maybe Arn would want. But so I'm not allowed to get those. But I hope someone else does. Because I just think that, could you imagine just getting to talk on the phone with Arn? Like, how awesome would that be?
Well, friend of the show, Ed Prather, actually did the $400 level, 440 or something, where he's actually going to be a character in the book.
Yes, the 444.
444.
Hey, can you give us what Ed's character in the book would look like, what he'd be doing with his glasses right now? There we go. There it is. Okay.
I hate this. It was funny last night. We were doing a Zoom for the top guys at ad-free shows, and on my screen, I was in the middle, and I had Ed to my left and Jimmy Sorensen to my right. And I told him, this is like polar opposites on both sides of me.
Yeah. What is that one song? You got some slapdick to the left of you and jokers on your right.
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're polar opposites. So I was kind of like in purgatory in the middle because I had good and evil, the battle of good and evil on both sides.
Well, I know it's always a good time over there on Top Guy Tuesday. I'm sure you're enjoying doing that with all the top guys over there on ad-free shows. As we like to do each week, we'll talk about this week's wrestling headlines, and we're a little bare on that. Not a whole lot going on this week as far as just news goes. But we did get a headline, I guess, out of FTR about they said maybe when their contract is up in the next year or so that they would like to take a year off and just work indies and smaller promotions. And I think they just want to do that because they want to be refereed by Pondwater Dave.
I
And
hope so.
that's the way to do it right there.
I hope so. I know an indie promotion that we'd love to have them in. Man, I couldn't even. 2022 is going to be hard to top, but that would help out greatly in 2023. I think that they just enjoy working with different talent. They just came off this Ricky Steamboat's match, the return of Ricky Steamboat. They teamed with Ricky against Black Machismo, Jay Lethal, Brock Anderson, and Nick Aldis. And so I think coming off of that, they like doing those kind of things. And
well, I think that if they do end up coming to your the indie promotion that you know of, Pondwater, I think you need to go ahead and clear off the 2 bedrooms for me and Justin, because we'll both be down there and we will be your entourage. We will help with the whatever so we can get backstage so that we can also meet FTR. But I went and saw them in Massachusetts when they did the big time wrestling show up there. And
had a great manager up there. I know that.
Yeah. But it was a great, yes, definitely great manager. But it was such a great, like, there was nobody that did not want to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that place was packed. It was fans. They knew who everybody was. They were, I mean, it was such a great atmosphere.
Who was the manager?
Bret Hart.
He's the best manager there is, was, and ever will be.
It was Brock Anderson and Brian Pillman Jr. versus FTR. Bret Hart was in FTR's corner and Arn was in Brock and Brian's corner. But it was a great atmosphere. So I could definitely see, I mean, Dax and Cash both wanting to be in that kind of atmosphere more often and really getting to meet the fans. I mean,
they love to wrestle.
Yes, exactly.
They love to wrestle. And I don't think that it's so much that they're being misused on AEW. I don't get how you hold every tag team championship in the world except the main one, except the AEW championship. You're the Ring of Honor champion, and they just had them on last week. But to be undoubtedly one of the best tag teams in the world, the best, to my mind, the best tag team in the world right now, it's just then they're not on television that much, and they're not being used, and they're not on pay-per-views. It just blows my mind. And all they want to do is wrestle. That's all they do. They wrestle.
If they were to leave AEW, take a year off, and go back to WWE, I think that year of doing indies would give them enough time off heat that when they came back, it would be a huge comeback, because I think if you left AEW and went right to WWE, it's not going to be real special. But if you buffer a year in between there and then they come back, I think that would make it more of a special moment.
Now, Dax will be on, well, as you hear this, Dax will have been on AEW. We record this on Wednesday. So tonight, Dax is wrestling Bryan Danielson, which ought to be an excellent match. But why is FTR not wrestling why not Cesaro and Claudio, excuse me. But what I'm saying is you're breaking up a tag team. So when he does get on TV, I'm glad at least one of them's getting on. And it's going to be a great match. It's going to be incredible. But I'm just so for FTR.
Right. And AEW, out of all of them, probably have the most tag teams available, actual tag teams, not people they just throw together. So if you look at AEW, you've got the Acclaimed, you've got the Gun Boys, or I don't know what they're
Ass
Ass
Boys.
Boys, whatever they're called. You know, you have the Penta and Phoenix, and you know, even Death Triangle, you know, they kind of rotate out. You have the Young Bucks. Like you have several tag teams that are there that they could be intertwining with. And like you said, they're not. And it just doesn't make any sense. You know, I'm like you. I don't if you can see, I got my FTR shirt on tonight. I'm definitely team FTR. Whatever they want to do, I'm going to be there to support them because they are just that damn good. So
They are. And AEW actually has enough teams to have a strong tag team division. They have enough 6-man teams. They have a strong 6-man division.
Mhm.
So, you know,
Maybe Jeff can get in there and help straighten them out a little bit.
be nice.
Yeah. Whew.
Well, today's show, we are going to recap this past weekend's Survivor Series War Games. But before we do that, Amy has some Survivor Series trivia for old Pondwater and I.
Yes,
I
yes,
know
yes,
I
yes.
suck at this because Survivor
It's multiple choice. So get your pen and paper ready.
Oh Lord.
Okay, so as you all have kind of picked up on this show, nostalgia is really what I enjoy in my wrestling. So we're going to go back to the absolute first Survivor Series, 1987, for these trivia questions. I know, Justin, you were not born.
I
You
was
you
two.
were?
I was two.
Oh, okay. Well then, okay. No excuses. Get them all right. Right? Okay. All righty. Y'all ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Which group did commentary for the World Wrestling Entertainment's 1987 Survivor Series event? First, was it Gorilla and Bobby, Mean Gene and Craig DeGeorge, Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura, or Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura? So we'll go through all the questions and then we'll go through the answers. Is that okay? Or do you want to do it question, then answer, question?
Well,
then
I'm
answer?
gonna guess D.
Yeah, I'm going Gorilla and I'm going Gorilla and Jesse.
So you all think it was Gorilla and Jesse?
Come on. Show me Gorilla and Jesse.
Well, hold on now. Now y'all got me all messed up. Hold on. Sorry.
As the
This is
crowd.
what happens when I'm trying to do something.
Definitely.
You are correct. It
Yes.
is Jess. It was Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body who did commentary.
I'm making
y'all
a note
remember?
to put some
Huh?
Jeopardy music in
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
in the post there.
And do you remember what was Jesse wearing for this festive event?
I didn't watch that shit. They were
What?
they were counter programming the NWA.
You've never gone back to watch it?
Didn't he have like
Can I
a
tell y'all?
feather boa thing or no?
Can I make a
No.
confession? The
Yes.
Survivor
No
Series
one's
is my
just us.
least. The Survivor Series is my least favorite thing that the World Wrestling Federation has ever done.
Oh man.
I don't like the Survivor Series matches. I never liked the elimination style Survivor Series.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go you one further than that. I don't like war games.
He is barking at clowns
I
clouds.
never liked.
Gentlemen.
I don't like 2 rings side by side. I don't like double ring battle royals. I even went back and watched the one that World Class did in '81. Didn't like it. I don't like 2 rings. Never have.
You're ruining Amy's trivia.
Sorry. But that's just a teaser for what's coming later in the episode.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, second question that nobody cares about. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Which 2 superstars became the first 2 wrestlers to ever be eliminated in a traditional Survivor Series match when they brawled to a double countout? Your options are Jim Duggan and Harley Race, Brutus Beefcake and Ron Bass, since we're PG, Randy Savage and Honky Tonk Man, or Paul Orndorff and Rick Rude.
I'm gonna go C.
I think
You're
it was
gonna go
Dugan and
Randy
Race.
Savage and Honky Tonk?
Yeah,
Justin?
yeah, I think you're right, Dave. That was my original choice.
I think it was Dugan and Race.
Pondwater, you would be correct. It
Yeah.
is Jim
I
Duggan
have
and
seen it.
Harley Race.
I have to. I should have stuck with my first guess. I didn't. All right. Dave's up one.
Dave's at one. Number 3, the Honky Tonk Man found himself in one of 3 disadvantages. What cowardly act did the Tonk Man do? Did he hit Randy Savage with a guitar? Did he let his manager, Jimmy Hart, take a DDT from Jake Roberts? Did he shove Miss Elizabeth? Or did he run to the locker room?
I think it's D.
I think he hit him with a guitar.
Justin, you're right. He ran to the locker room.
Yeah, tying that thing up. I just remember this in like little bits and pieces of things.
You're like, I think I remember them doing that. So they had a women's division. They had a women's match on this.
Yeah.
Fabulous Moolah faced Sherry Martell's team. Which duo won this match? Was it Lay Cool, the Glamour Girls, the Jumping Bomb Angels, or Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young?
Give me them jumping bomb angels.
What you got, Pondwater?
This is just overall Survivor Series history.
No,
Almost.
this was the first. This is 1987.
Oh, this
They
was
had
in
a
the first
women's
one?
match. Yep.
Yeah, this is on the first one.
This was on the first one.
Yeah, I'm going with the Jumping Bomb Angels then.
You are correct. They were the sole survivors of the match with the women. So yes. Let's see here.
Jumping bomb angels were over.
Yes, they were. They probably should have gone further than they did. We just weren't ready for that, I guess, back in that day. So let's see here.
At that time, and not to be dismissive, but at that time, women's matches were when you see a wrestling poster, it'd be like, and little people here,
Yeah.
and the ladies.
Mhm.
I mean, you didn't. There's just they were an attraction. They weren't as they are now.
Right.
Right.
You know, they're just part of the show now. There's not the
Right.
ladies and the men. They're all out, and I mean, you can have women in the main event now, but at the time they were still the attraction and the ladies.
Mm-hmm. And I would even say the Jumping Bomb Angels were even more of an attraction because they were, going off the top row. They had a lot of innovative moves that they were doing for 1987 in the women's division. So
Yes.
all right. It also had the tag team division also had a match. It says, who was the first team eliminated from the Survivor Series match featuring pretty much all the tag team division? Was it Demolition, the Fabulous Rougeaus, the Bolsheviks, or Strike Force?
I believe it
Oh,
was the Bolsheviks.
I'm gonna go with that answer too.
You would be correct. Tito Santana from the tag team Strike Force eliminated Boris Zukov. And so once one got pinned, they both had to leave.
Strike
Yeah.
Force was a good team.
Yes.
Strike Force
Yes,
was a
they
good
were.
team. They don't get near the amount of love that they historically deserve.
I don't think Rick Martel gets the love he deserves.
I agree
Really
with that.
doesn't.
I'm a huge Rick Martel mark.
And I don't know if it's because he's kind of, gone off in the sunset and, you don't hear much about him. I think he owns a car dealership or something, but, you don't see him. And I don't know if that's the reason why maybe a little bit of his legacy just,
Well,
he
he
like you
became the
said, you
model.
don't.
He became the model and associated with arrogance, and so his legacy. A lot of people don't realize that how long he'd been around.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, but he also got out of that model gimmick and won the TV title in WCW in '98. Remember when he came back on that little run? That was a good little run he had. But his
He
matches,
got hurt.
yeah, but his matches with Booker T and stuff were fantastic.
Yeah, he was an incredible performer. AWA World Heavyweight Champion.
That's what I
Yeah.
was going to say. And he was tag team champions too. I mean, you're right. I mean, no, people just, I guess maybe because it was a lot of that was done before WWF, WWE, but before he came there. And I don't know if that is what people kind of gauge him on is his performance in the WWF, not thinking about what he did beforehand. I don't really know.
I loved the model gimmick. I wasn't against it. I liked it.
Oh yeah.
Well, they all
was
had
tremendous.
gimmicks, like you said, and that fit
His
him
was
perfect.
better than most.
Yeah, I think he really got his over good. I think
And the dude looked like a model.
yeah.
He
Rick
was a very
Martel was a
good-looking
handsome
guy.
man.
Yeah, there's the first time in our show that, like Tony Schiavone, Pondwater Dave is now admitting when someone is a handsome man.
And it's
Definitely.
funny. Ironically,
And the funny thing is-
he looks like Tom Zink.
Oh, well, they both in the same tag team together. You guys want to be snowmen with Tom Zink and Rick Martel. I see what's going on. You and Schiavone got a whole plan. I know you guys will put him over too.
At least my guy is a world champion.
All right, number 6, moving on. So let's see here. Who eliminated the tag team champion Strike Force from the match? Was it the Hart Foundation, the Dream Team, Demolition, or Strike Force wasn't eliminated?
I want to say Demolition, but I think Strike Force might have won. Wait, you said the Dream Team was in there?
Mhm.
The Dream Team being Brutus, Beefcake, and
Yeah, but this was '87. I don't feel like they were gonna be.
Demolition won the thing, so I'm going to say Demolition.
That's what I almost went Hart Foundation. I'm gonna go Demolition.
You should have gone Hart Foundation.
Ah,
I thought
He was hit by a flying forearm smash by Jim Neihart. And
yes.
then Jim Neihart's partner, Bret Hart, nailed Santana with an elbow drop. And then Neihart pinned Santana to eliminate Strike Force.
you call yourself a Bret Hart, Mark.
And
No
that's
kidding. I just assumed
I mean,
you would
I'm
say
an
that.
NWA guy. At least I got an excuse.
that's twice. If I would have went with my first freaking answer, I would've-
What dirty trick did the Killer Bees use to win the Survivor Series match?
Dirty Sanchez.
They performed a spike pile driver on Dino Bravo. B. Brian Blair grabbed the trunks of Haku during the pin. They wore a mask. An illegal man got the pin. Or Jim Brunzell hit Jim Neihart with a chair.
C.
No, it was Twin Magic.
Correct. They wore masks, and then the illegal man made the pin. Very good, very good.
They were good guys.
Yeah, I know. They were
So-
good guys too.
But the Super Destroyers used to do that in World Class. Then the Bella Twins did it. And then they did that early in AEW too with a set of twins. And I remember because the commentary goes, "Who's that other one? She doesn't even work here."
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember that too. Now that you say that.
There's a lot of production in an enhancement match.
No kidding. So there was
Fun
a
gimmick
vignette.
though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and again, that's a heel tactic. Why would you not? If you were a twin, why would you not do that? Especially if you're identical twins. I mean, that's kind of interesting, like you said, the Killer Bees, and they did that more than once. It wasn't just like one and done.
But it was funny, haha, when they did it. It was like
Yeah.
they were getting even.
Exactly,
So
because you had all the different, other people were cheating or beating people up. You know how they would do that, but
it all just shows your perspective.
that's right. So there was a vignette featuring a new superstar during the 1987 Survivor Series. He
Extra
was
points
thankful. Huh?
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say
I was
extra
just-
points. extra points if I could just tell you without any
Do
options.
you need options, Justin? Do you want to listen to the rest of the question, or do you want to like Scrabble? He thinks he knows the answer. Do you want to know?
I think
wanna-
I know.
You think
Go
you know
ahead.
it?
I think I have it down to 2 guesses, but
Well,
go
you
ahead.
okay. He was the vignette showed this superstar being thankful for one thing on Thanksgiving. He was thankful for all his money.
Yeah.
He rode in his limousine, rented
That
a
was my
swimming
guess.
pool for his personal use, and had his manservant do tasks. Who was that superstar?
I was gonna say $1 Million Man,
Dollar Man.
but I was like, is this Mr. Perfect? I thought this was too early for perfect. I was like, I think it's $1 Million Man.
You would be correct. It is the $1 Million Man. So, how was Hulk Hogan pinned from the final Survivor Series match? Was it via pinfall? He wasn't eliminated. Via disqualification. And that's all let's see, that's all they gave me. Okay.
Was
Or
Andre
a
the
count
Giant
out.
on? Was Andre the
sorry.
Giant on the other team?
Yes.
Yes.
So the options are pinfall, he wasn't eliminated, disqualification, and count out. I'm sorry.
Count out.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Is this the last question?
No, we have one more.
Oh,
But
I'm gonna go count out.
you would be correct.
If this
King
was the
Kong-
last one, I was gonna guess just opposite of Dave, just because it would be fun.
King Kong Bundy pulled Hulk Hogan out of the ring, and then him, Bundy, and One Man Gang fought Hogan until he was counted out. So, okay, last and final question.
Celine Dion said, "It's all coming back. It's all coming." All right.
So Bam Bam Bigelow faced one of 3 odds. Who eliminated Bigelow to win the final Survivor Series match? Was it Andre the Giant, King Kong Bundy, One Man Gang, or Bigelow was not eliminated from the match?
I think it is.
Bigelow was not eliminated from the match.
Yeah, I'm going D.
You would be incorrect. He
What?
was. He was pinned. Let's see here. Oh. Well, where's my explanation?
Well, there's old school news ladies going through her papers. Hold on.
So, okay. Bam Bam pinned King Kong Bundy and One Man Gang, but he was defeated by Andre the Giant. And Andre the Giant was the sole survivor for the final Survivor Series match. Now, even though Bam Bam Bigelow lost, he was the last person from his team, he did win a bunkhouse brawl battle royal at a house show in March 1st of 1988 at the Nassau Coliseum. He was the lone survivor, and he was in there with 26 other people, and one of them was Billy Jack Haynes.
Bravo.
So we played. That was a long way around to get to Billy Jack Haynes this week.
Well, I tell you what, though.
I thought he was going to be one of the trivia questions.
Well, you know what? He wasn't on the show. Believe me, I was trying to figure out how to get him in there, but he was not on the show.
Figuring out how
And,
she's going to shoehorn Billy Jack in every week is my favorite. That's the thing I look forward to the most.
Well, like I said, as long as we stick into the 80s, it's pretty easy, but it pretty soon. But I tell you what, he's done quite a bit and a lot around a lot of people, so it may not be as hard. So, like I said,
Speaking of
wasn't
Billy
too
Jack,
bad.
have you seen the previews of that movie Cocaine Bear?
no, I have not.
It sounds like it's gonna be one of those up there with Spielberg and Scorsese.
Oh goodness. I saw the trailer.
Are
Dave
you
Silva
saying
put the trailer.
Oscar-worthy?
He put the trailer in our group chat, and I thought it was one of those parodies, Saturday Night Live movie parodies that was just as a joke. And they go, no, this is not only is it a real movie, it's based on real events.
You know,
Well,
it actually sounds like a movie title that Tarantino would put out.
The
He,
previews
Well,
looked as grisly as a
he should
no
have
pun intended. See what I did there?
but hey, don't forget Sharknado, huge success.
I
So
love
you never know.
Sharknado. I loved
Huh?
Sharknado. I
Well,
loved
that's
it.
what I'm saying. So you just never know what people are going to gravitate to. So Cocaine Bear may be, like you said, maybe the next Titanic or, movie that we'll be talking about. So
Well,
thank you for doing my trivia. I hope y'all enjoyed that.
We
time.
did. Thank you for bringing it.
Fun, thank you. Speaking of gravitating toward things, I think most fans gravitated toward the cock this weekend and turned on the old Survivor Series. We've got your Survivor Series review here for you, and get to know what Amy and Dave thought about the Survivor Series. I know I watched most of it. I thought it was a pretty good show. Like we said last week, not a lot of matches on it, but turned out to be, I think, a solid card. So we had on our first match, guys, Team Belair, which was Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and Mia Yim. And I know I'm going to screw up some of these names here pretty soon. Versus Team Damage Control, Bailey, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley in a War Games match. So what do we think about this one, guys? I got to watch some of the, most of this match, and I thought I was really impressed with some of the camera work done with the War Game matches. I know that, with the overhead looks and things like that.
I thought it was a good match. I enjoyed the match. I thought the cage is too sanitary. War Game, I don't, like I mentioned before, I'm really not a fan of War Games anyway. The double-sided, the double rings setup, but it doesn't have a lid on it. And I realized that in this day and age, you can't put a lid on the cage because you're going to eliminate half of their offense.
Yeah.
So that being said, my first notation was that this cage is way too sanitary. It's a beautiful structure. My second takeaway is if you're not going to bleed, stay off the chain link.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were a kid and climbed a fence as a little kid, your skin cannot touch that chain link without getting scratched.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my pet peeve. I've been that way ever since. I'll always reference Magnum TA Tully Blanchard in a cage. As soon as Magnum's head hit that cage, he bled.
Well, let me ask you this though, Dave, to play devil's advocate on that. Do you think that little kids watching really care or really pay attention to that type of stuff like some of us older marks do?
Yes. Well, no.
I don't think so.
We watched, I think I even referenced it on our last episode. My grandson actually said, "Why is he jumping into the cage?"
Mm-hmm.
But he was bleeding. And
Yeah.
my grandson also thought the blood was cool. He was concerned for him. So it's just a little thing for me. And to me, wrestling is all about the little things. The little things mean so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking about with Claudio having the sharpshooter on, but reaching down and getting his hand down on the knee and torquing it even more. It's just the little things. So I don't know if they would notice it, but there's things that you don't notice. So it just adds to the presentation. And I'm not saying you had to have 10 women in there look like the final scene of Carrie, but it's just, for me, if you're going to use the cage, it comes with the territory.
Amy, someone who hasn't went through the final scene of Carrie, I hope you've never had to deal with that at the prom. What do you think of the match?
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. What I did not like is 3 of the women went off the top. First match, 3 of the women went off the top. I thought that was a little much. They're dragging in chairs, tables, ladders. Why even have the cage? Like I just didn't like all the gimmicks that they were doing. And I really think of the grudge matches, which is what War Games is, and I understand what you're saying about the double rings, but War Games is supposed to be for the two groups of people who can, or at least a couple on each side. Then you get your friends that have grudges, and that they've got to, finish this off in any way that they can, and you lock them into the cage. So between the men and the women, I felt like at least the women had more of a story going into it with Bianca Belair and Bailey. I mean, like you could, that kind of thing. Not quite for a War Games match, but it's also one of those things that, well, if we do for the women, we have to do for the men, even if it doesn't even really fit. So I just felt like the women really pulled out a lot of the gimmick stuff.
Mhm.
I thought that it could have been, I didn't feel like they had to do that. They're very, very talented, athletic women that were in this match. They could have really done some, they could have made it really good without having to bring in ladders and, tables and all this other stuff. I just didn't think that was necessary. I thought it was more the flip flop and fly, I guess, almost.
I mean, speaking of the tables, though, I did really like the finish. I thought Becky Lynch drilled her through that table when she come down
Yes.
there, and I thought that was a good. Really, I liked the finishes to most all the matches on this card. So I thought they did, as WWE usually does. They did a good job with their finishes and this.
To go with my two sanitary note,
Yeah.
when they kept showing they kept showing that view from above the cage, you could see the platforms, and that's what they were on each
Mhm.
corner platform, but they actually had the tape on there to keep them from slipping.
Mm.
So, I mean, you could say, don't show us that. We don't need to see that you've actually gone to take the precautions to give
Mhm.
them some sticky tape up there so they don't slip. Or if you're going to play devil's advocate,
I had trouble with it earlier too. It's a rough
advocate.
word for us Southern people.
I am the advocate, sir, for your tribal chief. Anyway,
Not an advocate for the word, I can tell you
but if you're
that.
going to do it, if you're going to play devil's advocate, I can't do it. That
Adv-
shit that I'm trying to say. Maybe they showed us that because it explains to us that jumping off the cage is expected. I mean, it's like we did this because this is one of your weapons. We're
Mhm.
letting you have a place to launch from up there.
Mhm.
We want you to jump off the cage.
Yeah,
I think it
So-
would have been more impressive though, because you're right. Becky's, her jump finishing move, to end War Games, that was impressive. But I think it would have been a lot better if half the other girls hadn't already jumped off the cage somehow. Like it kind of took away from this spectacular move because half
Right.
of them had already done some kind of semblance of that. Io Sky did a backflip, which she had done previously in NXT. I mean, it's all great, but that could have been, I feel like the finish could have been a little bit more spectacular if we hadn't already seen two or three people hopping off, jumping
Yeah.
off of the top rope.
I
I mean,
think
that's just
I
me.
think that's a valid point. I think it is. Dave, how many jars did you give this one?
I gave it 3 jars. I liked it. I thought it was a good match, and it only loses for me because of the lack of blood, being a little too sanitary for the type of match it was. I mean,
Right.
and it wasn't just the cage. I mean, they were using trash cans, trash can lids,
Right.
kendo sticks, tables.
It should have just been a no holds barred match and just let them go at it
I
instead
mean,
of War Games.
they had the cage loaded up. I mean, they had it
Yeah.
under the ring was loaded up with weapons. So,
Mm.
but
Oh, yeah.
CBS Sports gave it an A-, and so yes, definitely 3 jars.
All right. Well, starting
Very
off.
watchable match, very fun match.
Now, I thought this would be my favorite match of the night. Turns out I don't know that it was, but just based off the two performers, I mean, I think they're both two of the best in the company. AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Amy, how'd you feel like this one went off? I mean, I just felt like it could have been a lot more than it was. It was fine. These two can't have a bad match, but I just didn't feel like it was up to the match that I expected it to be.
Right. I think there has been recently, I can't remember where I read it, but like someone had had noted that this was like AJ Styles' first pay-per-view win in like 2 years, you know? And I think that that is possibly a reason why the feeling of this match was not as excited, because I don't feel like they've done well with Finn Balor. I mean, he's a phenomenal talent, but I don't think the level of excitement to see him is there anymore for whatever reason. It could be that he's no longer the demon. We're losing that presentation from him.
I like the heel turn. I like him in that faction though. Um, and I think it's good that fans don't like him because he's a heel. They're not supposed to like him. You
Well,
know,
but I don't think I don't think they have any feeling. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like they're lukewarm on them. And I feel like the same thing with AJ Styles. And I'm just wondering if that's more because of the presentation of them that we've seen, in the last several months, always getting beat, So, but you're right. They're
he's
two
fighting for the title.
I
You know.
think this would have been an
Right.
excellent opportunity for WWE to acknowledge their history in New Japan.
Yeah.
They have a relationship with New Japan because we know that they're going to let Shinsuke go be part of Mugen's last match. And I mean, there's rumors that there's going to be another wrestler get to go be a part of it too. So, I mean, they obviously have some type of working relationship, or at least a positive relationship with New Japan. I think it's okay to acknowledge the Bullet Club.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you
Let's
have
have some
Anderson and
background.
Gallows out there,
And
so
I mean, it's kind of like being the elite. If you watch it, you get the inside baseball, but I don't watch it. So they're trying to carry it over to me, but there's AEW never tells me it's a companion piece. Maybe I should watch it. So it's vague, and I know about it, but I think it should have been, maybe if we bring this to the forefront, those are some stakes for this match. It kind of fell a little flat for me, but there was nothing wrong with the work. There was nothing. I mean, it was an enjoyable match, and I gave it 3 jars. CBS Sports gave it a B+.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match too.
I thought it was a good, solid match, but it didn't blow my skirt up.
Right. Not a lot of false finishes. I mean, it wasn't jerking you around on what was going to be the end. I mean, like you said, great workers, solid match. Maybe there could have been more build up. Like you said,
It wasn't a pay-per-view match.
Yes.
How about that?
It
It wasn't a pay-per-view level match. It was a Raw main event match.
Yeah.
And that's not criticizing. So please don't think that I'm a know-it-all that's criticizing work rates and stuff. I'm just saying that it didn't hit for me like it didn't hit for me on a pay-per-view level.
They've been trying to build this match with the groups that have been fighting against each other in the weeks and months leading up to this.
And it also followed a hell of a women's match.
Yeah. So,
and I think maybe you were expecting a little bit more. There was only 5 matches on this card. So, I think the thought was kind of like you were talking about how it was more of a Raw, main event. Like, I think we were expecting a little bit more.
Like an NXT takeover where every match delivers.
Yes, exactly. And this delivered, but it didn't over deliver. Like
the old NXT takeovers.
The black and gold.
Yeah.
Right?
it probably should have went after this match, because I think if it would have went after this next match, people would have been into their match more. The SmackDown's Women's Championship, Ronda Rousey, the champion, versus Shotzi, which was the dog. That was Marge Scott's Saint Bernard back in the early 90s. Her name, Shotzi.
I still wish that she was Shotzi Blackheart, because when I hear Shotzi, it always feels like they're just not saying. That's just me though. I want them to say Shotzi Blackheart. It's just such a cool name.
Mm-hmm.
First thing about this match, there's been a lot of online calling this week for fire Ronda Rousey. No, there was a tweet that was put up and removed, and I couldn't find it. But I remember when I read it thinking, if y'all think that a wrestling bad guy can tweet that and y'all think that they ought to be fired, F all the way off with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even that bad. I mean, it was something that you would expect a wrestling bad guy
Mm-hmm.
to do. This match was not good. This match was not executed well, but this match wasn't Ronda Rousey's fault. And this match really wasn't Shotzi's fault. Somebody needed to be in there to lead it. And we saw that Ronda Rousey's not ready. I mean, she's in a prominent position. And I guess you got to give somebody else a shot every now and then besides the Charlottes and Baileys and Sashas and Natties of the world that can carry a match.
Mhm.
It's not Ronda's fault yet. But that's the problem. That's the problem when you get one of these stars and you put them on TV before they're ready.
Wonder why they just didn't have her like win in 10 seconds. Like, why didn't they just let her put a, like if you got both of them are fairly green, and I think we all agree that,
well, you're shining Shotzi up. You're definitely shining Shotzi up. But I mean, here's where they lost me in the match. Ronda grabbed an ankle lock on Shotzi and she cranked it. And Shotzi did not yell. She did not sell the ankle lock. Ronda cranked it twice with no selling the ankle lock. And then I was out of it at that point thinking, how do you not sell the ankle lock?
Especially when that's Ronda's thing anyways.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe at that point when she didn't sell it, Ronda should have legit
put it on her.
Made her sell it.
Yeah.
I did like through the match, Ronda was, I mean, for lack of a better word, shit talking the whole entire time. And you could pick it up and hear it. And I
like that.
And that's what I'm saying. I like that. I would think that's exactly what I would think if it was a legit fight when she's doing, whatever she may be doing. I really do feel like she would be smacking you in the head, like, come on, give me your best shot. Oh, like I'm with you. I love that. And I want her to always be the heel. I don't think she needs to be a baby face and, just because she is as famous as she is. I think she's a legit bad, ass.
Yeah,
and
she should be the female Brock Lesnar. When Brock's in there,
definitely.
You believe everything Brock does.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's the reason why, honestly, we're kind of talking about leading. I think that's the reason why Shayna Baszler has been, I mean, granted, they know each other, but Shayna was out there kind of helping direct some things, if you notice, especially when they were out on the floor. So I think that Shayna was probably out there just to try to help run, can't think of the word. I hate when I do that.
Interference.
Interference. Thank you. And I think that that is actually something that Ronda needs. She needs to have someone out there, whether it be Paul Heyman, Shayna Baszler, whoever. I think that that's a needed piece for her.
And a good referee could have helped them greatly. I'm not criticizing the referee. I don't know that WWE works that way.
Right.
But on the indies, if you got two young guys out there and they're getting lost, a good referee can talk to them and get them back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I've seen it, and I don't know after 17 years that I'm that guy. I mean, I don't know that I can do that, but I've seen it done.
What I love about Amy is she doesn't want to cuss so bad on here. She goes, well, the bad, ass.
Hey, and I'm Pondwater Dave, and I'm gonna let her rip.
Well, we want to be PG-13. No.
Well, I'm gonna try not to drop F-bombs. I'm gonna try not to GD, but you're gonna get shits, hells, and dams out of me in a bitch or two.
And definitely some asses.
I mean, sometimes I'll look at it and say, that's some hoe ass shit. That's just how I roll. Put your kids to bed. Your kids don't need to be listening to me anyway.
Trust me, they're on YouTube or
TikTok.
They ain't worried about that.
If your kid's in 6th grade, they done forgot more than I ever knew.
Ain't got time for us. So what did you give that match? How many jars did that Ronda Rousey debacle get?
1.
Oh, just a jar.
One jar.
Only old jar. I
Well,
hope
I'm
they
gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna pull the curtain back. I don't have a graphic for one jar and a mouthful, but I'll get one before post production. One jar and a mouthful
Oh,
is
there
one
we-
and a half. I mean, 1.5 jars. It's
They
and
showed up.
and
No.
CBS gave it a D. And there was a spot where they tried to do the DDT on the apron from the top rope, and
Yes.
it was horrible. But that could have been saved. Rhonda could have jumped up and like she blocked it. That she saved herself from taking that.
Mhm.
She could have, but
Like the announcers tried to tell you she did.
Oh yeah, I mean it was a lack of experience.
Mhm.
Ronda Rousey's baddest bitch on the planet,
Agreed.
and Shotzi is an incredible talent. She's already a star, and she's only going to get to be a bigger star, and she needed that match. But they need to put her in. They need to put Shotzi in there with Bailey. They need to put Shotzi in there with Charlotte. They need to have her working with Natty, and you'll get her where she needs to be. I love Shotzi. I want to call her Shotzi Blackheart. I love it. I love the tank. I love the whole presentation with her. And I think she's extremely talented. But they didn't do any. But this match just fell flatter than a plate of piss. It just really was not hitting for me.
Before you go crowning Ronda Rousey the baddest bitch in the world, have you seen Amy Vaughn deliver some knife edge chops in the bar? Because I have, and you don't want to mess with that. I'm just
That's
saying.
right.
Okay.
Next week when we have TJ on, you can ask him.
Yeah, he's still got the scars to prove it.
That's right.
I've been known to take a chop or two.
That's what happened when he was younger. Someone chopped him down to size and he never come out of it. Well, I think my favorite match of the night is coming up. The United States Championship, Seth Rollins, the champion, taking on Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory in a triple threat match. I picked Austin Theory. I don't think we got our picks in on the show last week, but at least in my group chat, I picked Austin Theory, and I was pretty sure they were going to figure out a way to get it over, where I thought they were going to have Seth and Bobby, doing stuff to each other where Austin wins, and that's pretty much how the match ended up. I thought it was a really smart finish to the match. What do you guys?
Massive curb stomp.
Yeah.
Shit canned him out. I loved it. I thought it was a great match.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, normally, I don't understand what happened that made Seth Rollins a babyface.
I know they sing a song throughout the whole match. Even when the song is over, the crowd's still singing it out there the whole time.
But I'm glad that they did this. I think this is, we're going to see Austin Theory.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see what he can do now. He's an incredible talent. Came through Texas. I'm just excited. It went the way that I wanted it to.
Yeah, me too. And if you guys missed it, if you didn't get a chance to check the Survivor Series out, the finish ended up happening where Seth Rollins suplexed Austin Theory off the top rope and rolled through it to suplex him again. And as he had him picked up for the second suplex, he was then speared by Bobby Lashley, and then Theory kind of just fell out of the suplex and fell on top of Seth Rollins and got the 1, 2, 3. So I thought it was a really nice little one of those kind of Pat Patterson-y finishes that makes sense. So I really liked it. Amy, what do you think about it?
No, I agree with everything you are saying. I thought it was a great match. I'm glad Austin Theory won, and I'm looking forward to see where he gets to go from here.
I think the splash on Lashley should have been finished, though.
I kind of thought that too, because that was a hell of a splash, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I love how they did the camera angle on that, because you couldn't see him coming. They were zoomed in on the pin, and all of a sudden, bam, there's Rollins, and there was not a lot of space there for him, and he hit perfect right where he's supposed to.
But the actor I put on that was I put on my notes, is that should have been the finish, but loved the actual finish.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, that curb stomp was massive. That was not a Monday Night Raw curb stomp. That was pay-per-view curb stomp.
Right.
Premium live event, if you will.
Right.
I
That's
loved
I
it.
want to win the championship curb
I
stomp.
gave
you
it 4
know?
jars.
I
Four,
agree.
4 jars, and CBS Sports gave it an A.
Yeah, it deserves all of an A. I think, you know,
Might have been the match. It close to match of the night.
yeah. I think
Action wise, I
it
think it
was.
was the match of the night. Storytelling wise, maybe a different. I felt like
Yeah.
it was the men's. One thing I do want to point out, I don't know if you all noticed, I wrote this down. The vignettes that they showed throughout the show, I felt like that was like telling us who they really are will be promoting, because we had vignettes for Charlotte, Cody, Brock, Liv Morgan, Miz, and The Edge. And I mean, I don't think anybody does a vignette like WWE. I mean, it
Well,
just
with 5 matches, you could those actually fit into the show.
yes,
I loved
definitely.
the Charlotte vignette. I don't know if that's a shock to anybody, but I actually love the Charlotte vignette. I love the Cody one.
Mhm.
I wish they wouldn't have shown the Cody one on the last pay-per-view, because that kind of told me that Logan Paul wasn't going to win the championship.
Right.
I mean, they're telling us Cody's the man.
Right. I love the visual of when he takes off his jacket and the huge bruise he has on his chest, that match he had with Seth Rollins. Like that is such a obvious, and it was a real visual. It was nothing that they, had to doctor up, but just that visual, like that is, again, that's part of that storytelling, like him kind of wrenching to take the jacket off. Like I mean, like I said, I don't know why, but I just get, it's like chills. Like when I see that happening, like, you're just
They're
in for a great,
they're showing
great
us
time.
Cody's heart.
Yes, yes. I mean, again,
They're
that just goes
reminding
back
us
to
he's
that.
been gone. He's been gone for a while. We need to be reminded. This is why this guy's gone. But
Yes,
this is what this guy did before he left.
exactly.
And I
But I
like
mean,
that. I like the storytelling in WWE has been tremendous.
Mhm.
And
and can I say I like Cowboy Brock all day. So I love that. I love that country look that he does.
Tractor driving Brock.
Exactly. I'm telling you, I'm there for that. When he comes down with his cowboy hat, and I'm there for it.
The
So
only thing I want to say about this, the last thing I want to say on this last match, I'm a stickler on apparel. I do not like Austin Theory's that dark green. I think he should be brightened up something. I'm not sure what color would be the right color, but maybe like a purple. But I don't know that I like that dark green military looking color on him.
mhm.
That's
I
just
didn't notice.
yeah, that's
well,
just me.
and
I'm
well, and maybe with the title, he will kind of go through a little bit of a upgrade in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be interesting to see what he ends up looking like.
Well, this last match was interesting to see as well because we had the Bloodline. We all know who that is. Roman Reigns, Jay and Jimmy Uso, Sami Zayn, and Solo Sikoa versus Team Brawling Brutes, which is Sheamus, Butch, Ridge Holland, Drew McIntyre, and the great Kevin Owens in our men's War Games match. So we open the show with the women's War Games and end it with the men's. I think that's a pretty good idea, really, because obviously they have to be either together or apart because you're not going to mess with doing that a bunch of times with the cage. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think apart is obviously about the only way to go. You wouldn't want to start the show or end the show. Maybe you could end the show with them, but I don't like that as much as what they did with it. Just put one at the beginning and one at the end. What do you guys think of this when the Usos get the victory, of course, because they don't lose very much these days, it don't seem like.
They shouldn't have either. This is the Sami Zayn story.
Yeah.
This was a pivotal part of the Sami Zayn story. They're either going to keep them together forever or it's going to make the turn that much sweeter. But who's going to turn on who? You have Sammy proving. You have him proving it. He stopped the 3 count. He saved Roman. I mean, he saved Jimmy. I mean, he saved Jimmy or Jay, whichever one's got a problem with him. and then let him have the win. I loved it. This was great storytelling. It was a fun match.
Mm-hmm.
I love Solo, man. Solo is the low-key star of this bunch. He's the Buddy Roberts of the bloodline. He's doing the work. But you don't hate him like you did Buddy Roberts. But what I'm saying is he's the worker. He's the worker of the bunch.
To me, what I
Definitely.
think they're gonna do with that eventually is the bloodline turns on Sammy, and that makes Sammy even more of a sympathetic baby face. And he'll get a huge baby face pop. He already kind of does. But once they throw and I think it's going to be prolonged. It's not going to happen like as soon as people think. They're going to keep building this story and putting layers into the onion. But when he finally does break away from them, I think he'll be a huge baby face.
Well, what if Sammy wins the Royal Rumble?
Well, I don't think
There's only
will.
one champion. I mean,
think
the one guy's got the two
Cody's gonna
belts.
win. I think Cody's going to win the Rumble.
Well, you think Cody's going to win the Rumble, though, and that's.
Mm-hmm.
But what if Cody gets the winner?
I think it'll be an interesting if they kind of do it, if they kind of follow like the Godfather's lead, where the oldest son, Frodo, what was his name? Fredo. Like, he screwed up, in a sense.
I'm smart.
What if Cody doesn't come back till the Raw after WrestleMania?
Yeah, I don't think I don't think it'll take that long. I don't think you would have been showing Cody vignettes at the last pay-per-view if he wasn't going to come back till after WrestleMania.
Yeah, but they could be. I mean, the storytelling's so good. We don't know, and in the past we knew.
Yeah.
They used to telegraph that stuff. You just knew, but we don't know, and it's fun. I'm really loving what's going on with WWE right now.
Right, and I'm in no hurry for them to break Sammy off of the bloodline. I really like this group, and I love the dynamics. And oh my God, when him and Jimmy, whichever one he's not mad, whenever the one he's not mad at, they do that little hand. They do their little hand smack. You can tell. You can even see the others like having to turn around.
Oh, Sammy's trying to break them up now.
So,
but did you hear what Paul Heyman said in the press conference about Sammy? Sami Zayn is a guest star on a popular sitcom. He shows up and he made his guest appearance, and they said, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing next week?" And then he's back next week, and the next thing you know, that he's so good, he becomes the main character.
Interesting.
And that's what he said.
Wise man.
Because immediately, back in the day, Fonzie wasn't supposed to be the main character in Happy Days.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he's not wearing that windbreaker. He's wearing leather jacket, and he's the biggest thing in America. So it's I thought it was a really good analogy. And I loved how they did their press conference. They did it in kayfabe. When you hear Becky Lynch saying that Bianca sent a jet for her, they were definitely trying to talk in kayfabe, and I liked it. You weren't going to have anybody going into business for themselves on that press conference like they do in AEW.
Yeah.
So they copied the idea, but they showed them that this is the correct way.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how they would do that. I only saw the clips of Triple H's comments. I didn't really see any clips of anybody else, but so they did put some wrestlers out there, and they
had Becky and Bianca were sitting right next to each other.
epic kayfabe then.
And then Sammy was out there with Paul Heyman.
Okay.
And then I thought it was, if I'd have paid for this, I would not have had buyer's remorse.
Agreed.
CBS Sports gave that an A+. I gave it 5 jars.
Is that as high as you can go? Can you get 5 jars and swallows?
No, when I tell you the scale's 5, there's no more than 5.
If it's a Saturday,
technically,
I can drink 6 jars. I'm just saying, but
technically we could go 5 in a mouthful, but I ain't doing that. I said that this is I think it's.
Well, I'm just asking. I wasn't for sure. I want to make sure I know the scale correctly.
Unless they dig up David Von Erich and pump 50,000 volts for him, and he goes over Flair, there's not going to be more than 5 jars.
Well, there you have it.
Now we know what will be 5 jars in a swallow or a mouthful. I keep saying that. keep thinking it's swallow.
We said last week, Dave, don't swallow. We already put that out there last
I
week.
know. I know.
He sure don't.
Well, on that note, does anyone have anything that we want to leave everyone with here at the end of the show? Like Dave said, it was a great pay-per-view. I enjoyed it. I think it's one of the better Survivor Series in a long time, honestly.
I don't like,
Definitely.
for me to have led off with, I don't like Survivor Series. It's my least favorite.
Same
And I
here.
don't like double cage matches. I freaking love this.
Yeah,
I loved it. Now,
Thought
I
it was-
don't like the traditional elimination. I don't like the elimination
right. I don't
format.
either.
But what they did with this, I was a huge fan of this Survivor Series. I give the overall, I give 4 jars overall.
Mhm.
Cool. Well, I do love the traditional Survivor Series matches, 1987, 88, 89. Like, I do love that. However, you think back, we only got to see, at that point, there might have been 3 or 4 pay-per-views that we were going to get to see. You didn't see these groups like you do now all the time. So, I mean, it was in the infancy of the Survivor Series. That was a cool concept. I love that it was on Thanksgiving night. That was something that I can remember watching that. Whether or here my cousin would watch it, you know, and tell us about it. But that was like that was just part of the holiday. But I did love that type of match. Again, we don't always get to see that now, or we already see it with all the different tag matches and things that they do. Um, One thing I do want to share, and I wanted to tell you all, I did not get a lot of sleep last night, and that is because I had to finish my book. And I love to read, and I am reading. I just got finished reading Blood Red Turns Dollar Green by Pat O'Brien. And
JR's been heavily recommends that book.
oh my gosh. Well, Pat O'Brien is helped co-write JR's autobiographies that he did. And this it's a trilogy. It's the first one is Blood Red Turns Dollar Green. The second one is called The Shoot, and the third one is called the Hurting Circus. And I just finished the first one. This is what I envisioned the NWA would be like if it was run like the mafia. Okay. I don't know if you have had an opportunity to read any of these books, but it's set in the 70s, and it's very similar to what you would think the NWA was like. There's a wrestling council, and everybody has their territories, and then the booker, the promoters all come and meet. They talk about who's going to have the heavyweight champion, and there's the heavyweight champion belt is in New York, and it wants the promoter. They worked out a plan where they're going to drop it in Florida, but then there's a lot of back and forth. And like I said, I loved it. I love to read anyway. So I think it had 375 pages, and I got to 300, and I was like, oh, I got to finish this, And so I was finished reading it, and it was well after 11.
Oh, JR said they were going to make that into a movie.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I mean, it just is really, really good. And again, if you kind of like that nostalgic wrestling, or if you had an idea of, of wanting to be on the inside, like I said before, everybody knew that wrestling was a work. Like I said, I can't say enough about it. So if you ever get a chance, I would highly recommend these books. I'm getting ready to start The Shoot. I'm not going to do it tonight because I need to sleep, because I stayed up too late last night. But I will be reading that. But yes, I highly recommend. And Pat O'Brien's from Ireland. Hello, if he does any kind of Audible.
And if you're new in New Orleans, Pat O'Brien's got a hell of a hurricane for you.
Oh.
Probably not the same Pat O'Brien.
Well,
no, I don't know. We'll have to ask him. No.
you can talk about it being a work all you want, but it's still real to me, damn it.
I'm sorry. You're right.
Speaking of what's real to me, damn it, I got a bone to pick with Tales of the Territory this week.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
There'll be the one last week. It was the World Class Championship Wrestling episode. have Brian Adias, David Manning, Chavo Guerrero Jr.,
Uh-huh.
uh,
Jimmy Garvin.
and Jimmy Garvin. Yes. I'm not blaming the producers. And I'm going to say that it's hard for some of these guys to remember facts.
Mm-hmm.
But that cage match Christmas night where they slammed that door on Kerry's head was
Mhm.
not an escape the cage. We didn't do that crap down there. They might have done it prior to 82 and I didn't know about it. But my fandom, we didn't do that wussy escape the cage. They just got confused on that fact. It was not, he didn't get the cage slammed on his head to keep him from getting out of the cage and winning the match.
Right.
He got this cage slammed on his head because Gordy was there as the gatekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
They showed him lock it. If you got to escape it, why is it locked?
Yeah. How you gonna get
Gordy
out?
was there, so nobody got in, nobody got out. Kerry was getting Flair. I mean, if you'll notice during the match, didn't nobody try to climb out of the cage?
Right.
It was not an escape. Gordy finally told Michael, they're not listening to you. Come on, let's get out of here. Kerry was pleading with him to stay in the cage. Flair hits Kerry with a knee in the back. Kerry hits into Hayes. Hayes falls out of the cage. Gordy thinks that Kerry hit him, slams the door on his head. That's how it happened. So, I mean, I'm not going to criticize David Manning's memory, Brian Adias's memory, and all that. Jimmy Garvin wasn't there.
Right.
But those guys are remembering the best. It all runs together on them. I mean, I can't tell you. You could say there's only a handful of matches that I'll tell you which town they happened in,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't do it. I don't do it 7 nights a week like they did. So naturally, they're going to mix some facts up. But I'm passionate about world class, and we didn't do that escape the cage bull crap.
Well, and too, I mean, obviously they didn't do that in one take. So who knows how many times they retold that story and what clip that came from. And like you said, it was just.
And I don't know that if anybody there knew, would correct them.
Oh,
right.
right. Well, I like how we started this show with Dave barking at clouds, and we ended the show with Dave barking at clouds.
You know what we forgot to do?
What?
Show and tell.
I know. Well, I was going to tell everyone that show and tell will be back next week. We got one. There it is. What we got?
Since we're talking about the Von Erichs,
We were. No, just kidding.
I have a cigarette lighter
I know about this.
that was actually used by Fritz Von Erich.
Yes, this is.
And the reason I know this, first I'm going to tell you that there's many of these.
Mhm.
And this one says taken by force from Fritz Von Erich. And when they sold programs at the Sportatorium, every program had a lucky number. If you're watching the video version, you can see it. On the audio, I'm going to describe to you.
Oh,
On the back
cool.
page, you had the lucky number. And there was a drawing. And if you were a child, they probably gave you a picture or a t-shirt or maybe tickets to the next week's show. But if you were an adult, you got a Zippo lighter that says taken by force from Fritz Von Erich. And Fritz had a drawer full of them. You'd either win them on the program but Fritz used them. He was a smoker.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy Garvin said that Fritz took the lighter out, lit a cigarette with it, and said, "Here, Jimmy, you can have it," and gave him one. And I got this from gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. So this lighter was actually used by Fritz Von Erich.
So how'd you get it from Jimmy? Did you buy it?
Cash.
Well,
That's money.
like at a show, or what were you doing with them?
No, I bought a pair of David Von Erich's ring used tights. And if you watched Tales from the Territory episode, that the yellow tights with the black stripe with sequin Texas on his butt it was heavily featured in this episode.
Mhm.
And that pair of tights is on my wall. And but when I bought the tights from Garvin, I bought everything that he had. And he had the ladder. He had a David Von Erich t-shirt. And then a picture of that a fan had done like in the 80s or the 70s. In the 80s, they would take like a piece of wood and put a picture on it and slack it on there and drill holes in it and put a piece of leather on it so you could hang it.
What was Jimmy doing with all this stuff? Just from
See, it's a picture of David and Bruiser Brody.
Oh yeah. That's pretty
So
cool.
and then he had some pictures, and I put the pictures in the frame with the tights. And one of these weeks I'll do the tights for show and tell, but we're gonna have to figure out how to be portable because I framed that son of a gun and it's 45 inches wide and
Yeah.
it's huge. It takes up a quarter of the wall.
So was Jimmy just, where did he get all that stuff? He was just collecting it or had
Yes, he
it in
feuded
the
with
locker
David.
rooms?
After they wrapped up their feud on Labor Day of '83,
Uh-huh.
he got David's tights from him. And Jimmy Garvin, over the years, kept memorabilia from people that he feuded with. Because he had a headdress from Wahoo McDaniel.
You need to call Jimmy and see if he'd come on the show and talk to us.
Oh man, wouldn't I love that?
Well, you can try.
Well, until you get Billy Jack Haynes on for us, don't you be complaining about nobody else.
Hey, I don't think, I mean, bless his heart, I don't know if we want him on. I've listened, he's got some ideas that maybe we don't want to, we just want to keep him in the 80s, keep him in the 80s for us. Yeah. Don't tempt me. I will get him. No.
I'd love to have him on. I was a Billy Jack fan.
Heck yeah, me too.
Billy Jack Haynes, he tagged the first time I ever sat on the front row at a wrestling match. He tag teamed with Mike Von Erich against Jake Roberts and was it Matt Bourne or Buzz Sawyer? I know it was the first time Mike Von Erich used Iron Claw. It was on Christmas. I was on the front row.
Well, we hope you are a big fan of this show, and thank you for listening to episode 4 of the Pondwater Dave Show here with Pondwater Dave Miller himself and the great Amy Vaughn. I am Justin Davis, and we will see you all next week on episode 5. Thank you for listening, and peace and love.
Bye-bye.
Good night.